This webinar was recorded for subrecipients of the Tennessee Strong Families Grant on June 4th, 2025. Debrah Clark, Certified Family Life Educator, was our subject matter expert presenter. The training was designed to explore strategies that subrecipients can use to maintain engagement of teen parents in their programs, examine adolescents' perceptions of parenting roles and the motivations of teen parents, and understand the realities of life as a teen parent in our current culture. The slides and reference materials are posted on our webpage for your reference and review. We're going to be learning about the unique needs of teen parents and their children from Debrah Clark. She's a certified family and life educator. She's been directing a child care center that serves teenage parents and their families and has worked with this population for over 25 years. She's prepared a super thoughtful presentation of best practices for working with this vulnerable population of parents and has tons of stories filled with her expertise from the field. So I'm going to let her go ahead and get started. We are so thankful that she is with us today.
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. It's really an honor to be with you today. And thank you, Brooke, for that wonderful introduction. I want to start with asking a couple of questions. As Brooke told you, I have been working with teenage parents for a long time, but I am not an expert. People who have been working with teenage parents, people who are teenage parents, people who are children of teenage parents, they are truly the experts. So I want to ask, is anyone in this room a teenage parent? Have you a former teenage parent? Are you a teenage parent? If you want to come off mute, that is just fine. Or if you want to answer in the chat, that is also okay. Anybody a teenage parent? And it's okay if you don't want to answer as well, because my backup question is, are you the child of a teenage parent? Did you grow up in a teenage parent-headed household?
We got a few people in the chat. Jessica said she had her 16-year-old at 18. Paulette had her daughter at 18.
Okay. And then, are you the parent of a teenage parent? Because that also makes you an expert.
Our own Brooke Blair is an expert as well, too, then.
So if you are the parent of a teenage parent, a child of a teenage parent yourself, you know, you're going to have a lot to talk with us about today. And I encourage you to use your voice throughout this presentation. If you are any of the populations I talked about already, or you work with teenage parents and something that I'm saying to you resonates, or you're finding that you're not having the same experiences that I've had, please speak up and help me out, because we are all in this work together. Next slide, please. So I have some training objectives here and some strategies designed to maximize positive relationships between teenage parents and providers, provide a basic understanding of the unique developmental needs of adolescents and their children, and get a view into the realities of life today for teenagers and their babies. Next slide, please. So what do you think matters? And what teenage parents think matters more? Can you answer in the chat, what are some opinions people hold of young parents in their decisions and behaviors? And if you want to come off mute and interact, that is wonderful. So what are some opinions people, maybe even you, hold of young parents and the decisions they make and their behaviors? Okay, so how you are is as important as what you do. And this quote shares a little bit about that. When I say what you think matters, if you think teenage parents are irresponsible, or you think that they're immoral, or you think they're too young, they will know that when they become your clients, even if you're hiding it from them. So what you think truly matters. And if you're a person who does think things that are negative about teenage parents, or maybe it's because you don't have experiences with them yet, you really want to find out if what you're thinking is true, because it matters, and the teenage parents won't want to be with you and won't trust you. And so we're going to talk a bit about that. Next slide, please.
I was just going to say in the chat too, real quick, we have some
Okay.
great answers.
Oh, yay.
Tomorrowish said people may think they have no clue how to raise a child. They are children themselves. And then Nancy said teens are really sensitive to what others think. It's very true.
Very, very true. And I don't know if you've had these experiences. many of the teenagers that I've worked with, which I haven't counted in a long time, but I would guess is over about 450, they have more child development knowledge than people twice their age because they're helping to raise siblings. They are raising their own children. They are around, they're babysitting. So they have more child development knowledge than we give them credit for, and more responsibility than society generally gives them credit for. So some statistics on teenage parents. With the statistics that I give you throughout this workshop, they may be dated because the data is not currently out there that I've been able to find. So please do your own research, find the statistics. But once upon a time, maybe even in this time, 53% of teenage mothers receive a high school diploma compared with 90% of teenagers who don't give birth in the age group. Black teenage mothers are a more likely subgroup to follow through with high school degree. I'm sorry. 25% of people become teen moms, drop out of school before conceiving. And 73% of teenage mothers in the US are poor or low income. And the neat thing about that last statistic there is the majority of teenage parents who are teenage parents lived in poverty before becoming pregnant. So when you hear people say that, they're destined to a life in poverty, they were, most of them, already in poverty before becoming pregnant. Next slide, please. Most fathers of children born to teenage mothers are over 20. 63% of cases establish paternity. 70% of children born to teen mothers were fathered by men over the age of 20. So many times teenage moms aren't willing participants in becoming pregnant. Many times they are taken advantage of by people twice their age. And many times those people are family friends or family members. So we want to, when we think about teenage parents, if some of us think of them as irresponsible or immoral, I don't want to put them in the frame of being a victim, but these may not be decisions that they had much consent in making. Okay, teens usually believe the family way is the right way. How do you make decisions for them in their care? Is it based on classes you've taken? Is it based on the people who are around you as you were coming up, who helped you become who you are? And was it the right way, the wrong way, or a different way than the people around you? Okay, so let's talk about parents. Parents as people in this society. What do we expect of parents? Just not talking about teenage parents, just talking about parents in general. What do we expect of parents? When we see a parent, what is their job? What is their role? What do you expect of yourself if you yourself are a parent? Can you put some things in the chat? Provide financially, help with education. Okay, wonderful. What else? Guide, protect, role model, feed, clothe, take care of. Their responsibility to inspire them. Yes. What else do we have? Selflessness, creating a structure. Put them before yourself. Yes, yes. Believe in them. We expect parents to believe in them. Yes. Anybody else? Love them. So roles of teenage parents according to the world: financial providers, you guys said that, emotional guides, spiritual religious leaders. We can read this. So we see them as disciplinarians and role models, moral educators, protectors, advocates, medical practitioners. If you have band-aids, broken arms, parents are the people who collect them and help with the medical, responsible for everything that the child does. Now, when we think about the roles of parents according to the world, how many of these things that we have on the list or that we talked about in the chat can a 14, 15, 16-year-old person truly take care of? So if the world has these expectations of parents and you're 14, can you drive your child somewhere? Not in most states, right? Financial providers, what kind of job can you get to support your child if you're 14, 15, 16? So some of these things are true of our older parents, and we still have these expectations of teenage parents. even though they may not be able to fulfill these expectations. So how do we help them with these things? How do we help them with the judgment society has for them not being able to meet these expectations? So, roles of parents. In my work with teenagers, I always ask them before I do any presentation about them if the words that I'm saying truly represent them. And so this workshop has been approved by real live teenage parents. So the teenagers that I come into contact with see themselves as adults with more responsibilities, even if they're 14, 15, 16 years old. They see themselves as disciplinarians. They see themselves as being loved by their child. They see themselves as having a purpose, having hope for the future. They see themselves as strong but isolated, adults kind of against the teenage parents. They see themselves as good parents. They see themselves as tired, and they see themselves as unsupported. If you are currently a parent of any age, do you see yourself as any of those things that the teenagers say that they are? They're people. Teenagers are people. And when they are parents, they are also parents. So in the chat, as practitioners, how do we see ourselves in the role of supporter of the educational and life success of teen parents? I see exhausted. Okay.
As a mom of a 12-week-old right now, yes, exhausted. I can't imagine, again, like I've said before, when you're 16 and your body's still growing and you want to sleep till noon and you can't because you have a newborn, they must be exhausted.
Like all new moms, right? Like all new moms. Mm-hmm. Okay, so how do we see ourselves in the roles? I didn't ask this question. Does everybody learning as I go? Okay, so the people who are in this workshop, do you all work with teenage parents currently? Are you wanting to work with teenage parents, and that's why you're taking this workshop? So educator and cheerleader. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Yes, yes. Okay. Currently work with teen moms. Thank you very much, and thank you for doing that work. Yes, we do. Okay. Excellent. Okay, so when we support the education and life success, consistency is so important. Thank you so much. Yes, consistency is important. And being exhausted as a parent, like Brooke said, you can also be exhausted as a person working with teenage parents because they require a lot of emotional and problem solving, right? Okay, so how do we see ourselves in the role of supporter of education and life success? Personally, I see myself as a dot connector or a conduit between the teenage parent and the rest of the world. How do I help them with resources like women, infants, and children, nutritional supplement, with medical care if they just find out they're pregnant? How do I get them pregnancy tests? How do I get them help in the community? I'm a conduit. I'm also a person who has to maintain calm. So, who a teen parent really is? They've most likely had a traumatic background, likely in early childhood. They're a kid, a person trying to figure out a life they did not expect. If you are an adult who has children where all of them planned, did you also have a surprise like a teenage parent? Living in poverty, usually before and after pregnancy. Has adults in their life that believe childbirth and pregnancy make them an adult. So some of these are generalizations. I just want to put that out there. So some of the things I'm talking about are generalizations, and most of the things I'm talking about are from my lived experience working with the population and their families. So a lot of times the adults in their life think they had a baby. Now they need to step up. Now they have to be responsible. And that's really hard for a person who may not have had these big responsibilities before or have been seen as competent. Additionally, if they're 14, 15, 16 years old, it's hard to make those adult decisions if legally you still can't make them for yourself. And they're in need of mentoring and a chance and respect and help. Who the child of a teenage parent is, they're usually unexpected, but usually loved. They're felt sorry for by society, most likely have trauma exposure, and very possibly was created from trauma. Many are developmentally behind in all domains, usually living in poverty, seen as a way out, seen as hope by the parent, which is a lot of responsibility for a little one, right? Could be a pawn in a custody battle. And statistically speaking, they're in more danger of abuse and neglect than children born to older parents. I want to talk a little bit about the maybe developmentally behind in all domains. When I was new to this work, and that was about 1,000 years ago, when I was new to this work, I did notice something, and I'm seeing it less and less in 2025. I'm seeing it less. But when I first started in this work, I noticed that the babies of the teenagers, and I used to teach the babies of teenage parents, and now I direct a program for them. But I noticed that the babies walked at 8 months old. And I thought that was very unusual. They're walking at 8 months old. And what we found was it's kind of at that time, it was kind of out of necessity. Mom has a backpack and a diaper bag and a baby. And it's not that development happens more quickly. It's everything together. So it's interesting that developmentally they're behind in domains, but in some domains that it's more quick. Who the helpers of teen parents and their children are. So they're people who lose applications and paperwork. If you work for an agency, do you have some sort of frequency with losing paperwork? I know everybody does it. Hopefully it's not frequent, but many of the people that I work with who turn in paperwork, even if it's digital, the applications go missing, which is hard for a teenage parent. People who openly judge or pity them with looks, words, or body language, sometimes cruel in order to hold them accountable. They did this. They need to live with it. These are some of the responses that they receive. Well-meaning and well-intentioned, overworked and underpaid. So the helpers of teenage parents have a lot to do. And in social service, let's face it, the pay is not great. Once upon a time, we used to say that we get paid in hugs, but hugs don't pay for food. Anybody here feel these ways? Is there anything else that we might want to add to this list?
I know lots of times when I worked with a similar population, I just felt like I had too many kids on my caseload. How can you do a good job when you have 20 of them? And realistically, you could do a good job if you had 8 to help. So I think a lot of times, there's not enough of us to have the services that we need. The bandwidth is not big enough.
That's true. That's very true. There aren't enough of us, not enough resources, people running out of resources. The places they could get things from don't have hours in which they can get them. Transportation may not be available for them. There's a lot of obstacles. And as helpers of teenage parents, we are conduits to try and eliminate these obstacles. And that's a lot on us. Obstacles to success as expressed by teenage parents. And again, these are taken from real teenage parents. I didn't make these up. Anxiety when stepping into a new room. They doubt themselves. Coming back to school is hard. Controlling feelings and being the best mom. Letting people into my life to do me wrong and distract me from what's important. Do you remember being a teenager, anybody? What was the most important thing? What people thought about you, right? Until you got some confidence. And as an adolescent, if you think about adolescent development, it really is all about you and perception. And having a baby doesn't stop adolescent development. So they're adolescents experiencing all of those adolescent ideals with a baby, though. Losing a lot of things and people in my life, being traumatized as a young child, and getting to graduation. That's an obstacle. Getting to graduation has a lot of obstacles. Um, what other obstacles? Can you come up with any other obstacles to success that teenagers may have talked to you about? Affordable food and more opportunities for jobs. Mom's doing drugs and wasn't there. Self-worth and needing to love myself. Having to deal with their parents. Yes, yes. These are on the slides. Wonderful. It's like you did this workshop. Who'll be bringing me to school? Keeping up on what I'm doing and focus on self and family. Keeping going and never giving up. Paying attention, getting good grades. It's one of the most isolating things. Friends seem to disappear. Yes, trauma I am battling in my mind. Ignorant people who need to learn and behave like they have manners. So, it's a lot, right? There are a lot of obstacles here to success. And it's up to us to help them with these obstacles. And we're going to get to how we do that very soon. So, who am I? Straight from teen parents. Teenage parents, they're 16, a mother of a 2-year-old, determined and persistent. Nice, caring person who listens to others and tries to understand. Mother, girlfriend, student, daughter, sister, friend, mother of one, going to school to finish. African American 16-year-old mom, a junior teen parent, alert, elegant, classy, good, and a ticking time bomb. A teen mom and a student at the same time. Who I am, again, a very proud pregnant mom who's going to be the best mom, in love with my baby, a senior in high school and proud teen parent, stressed, tired, and motivated, proud of myself for getting through rough times, person who likes to be alone and by myself, a mother who cares for my baby and myself, hopeful. So when I was new to this work, I had an anger management, a purpose-driven anger management group of superheroes come into my work for 2 weeks, and they did workshops with the teenage parents, both teenage dads and teenage moms. And when I was new, one of my first years teaching, the question was asked from this group, everybody wants friends, right? And how do we be a friend? And one of the audience members raised her hand and said, I don't want friends. I don't need friends. They bring drama. And I was new and I caught my breath. I'm like, what? Wait, everybody wants friends. And as the conversation continued, I understood. They explained that at that time, friends will steal your boyfriends, friends will gossip about you, and it's easier to stay focused if you don't have any. And I was very lucky that this amazing group of superheroes talked about those emotions and talked about how real that is and how to be a friend and what to look for in friendships and successful relationships and all of that. But it was kind of indicative of the isolation new moms feel, right? New moms feel, and Brooke, you're a new mom. If we let them feel that way, if we leave them alone, and that speaks to the importance of us being there for them and helping them with that. What do teen parents want for their children? At 35 and a former teen mom, I am still a loner in my personal life. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. What do you do for yourself? You're still a loner in your personal life, but do you do things for yourself to help? You're a loner, but do you sometimes seek out ways to help you not be so alone?
Social media, I would say.
Social media. Yes, yes, yes. When I was a new mom, that was my way out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only for evil, right? It can be for good.
It takes up the time and amuses you.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it amuses. Yes, yes. Okay, so what do teen moms want for their children? It's what all parents want for their children. Parental priorities are basically the same as adult parents, but the methods of achieving success may be different. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. Okay, so most parents want certain things for their kids. If you are a parent, please put into the chat some things you want for your kids. To be respectful and grounded, okay? Happiness. I remember when I was pregnant with my child, I had some dreams. Make safe choices. How important is that to make safe choices? To be the best version of themselves. I know when my little guy, he was a mess of a baby. He was beautiful and smart and wonderful, except for he cried all the time. Never stopped crying. And so when I was trying to help him soothe, which was never, I would rock him and I'd say his name and I'd say, and I eradicated poverty. I cured cancer. I was giving him words for what he would do in his future to make all the crying and the sobbing I was doing along with him because I couldn't get him to stop to matter, to have meaning. So if he was introducing himself with his name and that he cured cancer, there was a reason for all this crying. Okay, so teen parents want for their kids. I think what you'll find in these these bubbles is the same thing adult parents want for their kids. They just go about it a little differently. To be yourself, to learn to be around others and respect them, to finish school and get a good job, have a stable job and place to live, do whatever she wants without feeling like she has to give up due to obstacles. Go to school and believe she could become something. Go to college. Choose the right path. Those of you who spoke up in the chat, very familiar. They have a better life than they had, better life than we have, right? Okay, so the challenges for teenage parents, mixed messages. They are an adult or kid, depending upon the situation and who is addressing them. Many of the parents that I work with say when they go to the doctor with their child, the doctor will look for any other adult in the room and talk to them about the medication, how to give it, what's wrong with the child, instead of the parent that is a teenager, because they don't trust that the teenager can do that work. Yet, when they go home, they are the parent of that child because the people in their house see them as they had the baby, they need to deal with the baby. No or limited transportation to and from school, work, doctor, grocery store. No or inconsistent financial and emotional support from other parent and own parent guardians. So they may have some financial support, but then it's gone. Multi-generational living, if the generations are unsupportive. So inconsistent financial and emotional support. Let's talk about that for a moment. Once upon a time when I would ask, and this is true of this year as well, I would ask the teenage moms that I worked with, because there are teenage dads. There are fewer of them, but there are. I would ask if they were receiving child support or if they would like help applying for child support. As a dot connector, we want to make sure they have all the resources that they need. And a lot of times I would hear, oh, no, I have child support. The dad is giving me child support. And I'd say, okay, can you tell me more about that? And they would say, he drops off a box of diapers every month. And here's where helping teenage parents know what child support is and is not. It's great that you're getting diapers. Let's hope that doesn't stop. And there are some things additionally that you can have. A lot of times they're nervous about applying for different supports because they're nervous about the other parent, if the other parent is involved, no longer being involved or becoming angry because they've applied for support. So knowing what teenage parents are fearful of, knowing who they are is really important. Building relationships is really one of the most important keys, because if they don't trust you, again, going back to what we think matters, if we don't build that trust, they're not going to truly tell you what they need. And it's going to be harder for us to be that conduit and help them. Multi-generational living, let's talk about that for a moment. Okay, we have something in the chat. Teens don't know the extent of what support they deserve and need from the other parent. That's so very true. So very true. And I think that's also true of our older crowd too. Does anybody have friends, or has anybody themselves not truly known what they needed or what they could have access to? That's true of a lot of people, and especially teen moms for sure. So I think that it's true of adult parents as well, especially if the child wasn't planned. So true, so very true. So multi-generational living. If you currently are an adult and you do not live with your parents or guardians or people who raised you, could you live with them and raise your baby at the same time in a happy way? Please put your answer in the chat or come off mute. Please come off mute if you'd like to. Could you live with your parents, guardians, people who raised you, and your child at the same time in a happy way? No. Okay. Nope. Okay. I'm seeing some nopes here. Yet teenage parents, due to being minors, have to live with guardians unless they're emancipated. And I have yet to know an emancipated teenage parent. They exist. I know they do, but I don't know them yet. I tried that and it did not work. Okay, yeah. In a healthy, accepting, loving family, yes, which is possible but rare. And sometimes this has to do with cultures too. Some cultures live multi-generationally, and it's okay. And it works out great, and it's the expectation. But right now, with what I'm seeing, and for all the years I've worked with teenage parents, it's difficult. On a good day, it's a good day, but not every day is a good day. Many times when the teenagers I've worked with have told their families that they are pregnant, it is not met with happiness, it's met with anger. Many times they are now unhoused for a time. Sometimes the families adjust and bring them back in. Sometimes they don't, and that's where you become that conduit and help them with different resources in your communities. But multi-generational living does sometimes cause some issues for sure. So challenges for teen parents continues. High likelihood that the pregnancy was due to a non-consensual act by a relative or family friend 4 or more years her senior, and then forced parenthood. I've worked with teenagers who had traumatic events causing their pregnancy. They did not want to be a parent, but survival was keeping that baby in their home because the family was so against adoption. And that isn't a choice to be a parent, that is forced parenthood. And in the program that I'm in, we worked very hard to help for successful outcomes. We see all types of situations, and the key to success, in my opinion and my experience, is do not judge. Our job is to help, not judge. And so we have a situation before us. What do we know? Staying in the knowns and moving from there. Balancing the internal emotional struggle as an adolescent with the emotional struggles of their children. There's been some research on adolescence and hormones and all that goes into that, and saying it's very similar to the development of a 2-year-old. So if we have the emotional turmoil, the emotional bigness of being an adolescent, and the same in the toddler ages and 2-year-olds, that's a lot of emotion in one place. And so helping with that is so, so important. Home visitors, I'm so excited that that field exists. I could not exist without our partners who do home visiting for our families, because that is, they're definitely big supports. Unsafe living environment and or being unhoused, mental and or physical illness, their own or a loved one, depression, postpartum psychosis, drug addiction, etc., whether it be on the part of the teenage parent or the people around them. I've worked with many families where the teenager not only was raising their own child, they were helping their siblings get off to school, they were going to school themselves, and they were working a job to support part of the rent, to support some of the utilities, to support the school supplies of their siblings, because their parents and guardians may not have had what they needed to be able to support everybody else as well. The joys of parenting as a teen. So we just talked about a lot of the obstacles, and it's heart work, right? It takes a lot on your heart. So here are some of the joys that our teenagers have talked about. Being able to grow with their baby. Seeing someone they created accomplish goals. Oh my goodness, the first time a child walks. Any of you parents right now, first time your baby walked, or first time your baby said daddy or mama? Oh my goodness. No one can love you the way your baby loves you. These are all taken from teenage parents, okay? Making memories with your baby. Helping another mom or baby. That is my favorite thing in this work. I get the beautiful experience of having multiple teenagers together with their babies often, and watching moms talk about what works and help each other and share baby clothes is share stories, share rides places. There's nothing better than that. And based on what it is they've said here, it's true. It makes them feel good too. And that's my experience with teenagers as a whole. The teenagers I've worked with by and large are generous, kind, gentle, would give you anything they have to see you succeed as well. So knowing you are their comfort and their safe place. Anyone have anything to share with this slide? What are some of the joys of parenting in general, not only as a teen, but joys of parenting in general? Watching your kid be kind to others, that's fantastic, isn't it? That is fantastic. Thank you for sharing. All right, so some stories that tell the story. I have some stories from my experiences with teenagers and their babies that I would like to share with you. Okay, some of the stories I'm going to share are helpful. Okay, so how to help a teenage parent. For instance, a family that I have worked with throughout my years, a parent of twins. So she has twins, and she also had the unique opportunity to live in foster care with her twins. She was having a particularly rough time with these toddlers because they really liked to bang on the brand new blinds in this foster home. So the foster mom got some brand new blinds, and the twins are banging on them. And of course, they're aluminum and easily bent and damaged. And this teenager is really upset and trying to find a way to cause this to stop, to help. And so I'm asking questions. All right, when are they doing this? Is there a specific time of day? So I always go with the problem solving of asking questions. So she came to me with a problem, right? So we've established this relationship. And so I'm like, okay, so when does this happen specifically? And she's giving me answers. And I'm like, okay, all right. What's in front of these blinds? Is there a couch in front of these blinds? Tell me about the makeup of the room. And we're talking about it. And I'm like, okay, so what have you already tried? And she's telling me different things she's tried. And she's really having a difficult time because the family's getting, everybody there, they're in a tight space. They're doing the best they can. And so I said, please ask your foster family if they would be okay with, if there's nobody else in the room and this is when they're in there, if you can turn the couch around so they can't climb on top of it. Because one of the most successful ways to help toddlers change their behavior is change the environment. Their whole job is cause and effect and trying, new things. So how do we change the environment so they're safe and the place is safe? And surprisingly, that worked. Do you have any other ways that we could have probably helped this teenager? So we're dealing with child development. We're dealing with a different type of housing situation. We're dealing with frustration and emotions and helplessness and powerlessness. And my goal was to help her feel empowered, that she had the ability to problem solve this out and the ability to help her children still remain children, not have to yell, find an activity to do with them, making sure the teen mom also has an outlet for stress relief. Yes, that she had that where we were, and that's is so important. An outlet for stress relief, so important. Thank you for sharing. Okay, so that's one of my stories. Another one of my stories is I was teaching a class, and in my class, I had a rule: you can't sleep in class. But I also had another rule: if you're gonna sleep in class because you're very tired, just tell me about it. Tell me that you are exhausted because you worked, because the baby was up, whatever, and I will give you a warm, safe place to sleep. You'll have to make up the work because we're responsible here, but I'm going to meet your basic needs because that's so important. Just tell me and we'll make that happen. So this teenager came into my classroom and she put her head on the desk, and I had a guest speaker. Put her head on the desk, sleeping. So I go over to her, and this is back before cell phones, before texting, before we had one-to-one devices. And I wrote on a piece of paper. I know that's interesting, pens and paper. I wrote on a piece of paper, "Are you okay? I see that you're sleeping." I was trying to make it very non-judgy. And she wrote on the piece of paper, "I'm fine. My brother was shot last night. I was in the ER all night. I'm just tired." So I read it and I wrote, "Should you be here, would you be better being with him?" And she responded that she was going to be the first in her family to graduate from high school, and he would want her right where she was. I could have disciplined her, right? I could have said, "Pick up your head. What are you doing?" I could have sent her to the counselor or the dean or what have you. And again, this was many, many years ago. I was a brand new teacher. This is not a current event. This is many, many years ago. But I didn't, because you have a relationship. And when you have a relationship with people, you give them the benefit of the doubt. You give them the opportunities. And hopefully, even if you don't, you're still giving them the benefit of the doubt, and you're giving them the opportunities. But this person, I will tell you, did go on to graduate. This person, I will tell you, did go on to really successful, good outcomes. But life happens to people. And in my 25 years of working with teenagers and their babies, I have so many stories, and more stories than time, unfortunately. But I wanted to tell you those stories so that you know a little bit about what's out there in case you haven't worked with teenagers before. It could be anything. So what teen parents want you to leave here knowing: just because we have a baby, it does not mean we don't have morals. One surprise does not define us. Situations happen with babies, and we as parents have to be available like teachers who have kids. Support us, do not judge us. Judging us only adds stress to an already stressful situation. We are not motivated by judgment, and we may stop trying instead of keep going. The same thing goes with making assumptions about past actions. Do not talk about our babies and how they affect our grades and behavior. You do not know what kind of mom we are. So this baby has no place in that conversation. What those what some of those have to do with is, if you've ever seen a very young person with a baby in a grocery store, that baby looks beautiful. They are dressed to the nines. Their clothes cost more than your mortgage. And these are all judgments and assumptions I've heard throughout my career. Sometimes we'll look at them and say, "My mortgage costs more than your clothes," or something to that effect. I've heard these things. I've not said them. I've heard these things. We don't know if what that baby's wearing are gifts. And would you say no to something beautiful? We don't know what's happening in that person's lives. And again, don't judge. The other part of that is, too, the world sees teenage parents as less responsible than older parents usually. And if their baby looks better and is dressed better, that has something to say about their self-esteem. And this is what I've been told. So if their baby looks good, you have to see them as a good parent because you can't see them kiss them when they put them to bed at night. You can't see them feeding nutritious food, but you can see that they look good. And so if perception is everything, what are we perceiving? So best practices for working with teen parents: show up, never judge ever. Stay calm and listen. Support our coworkers and our work families. This work is hard. It's emotional. You take it home with you. You worry about them. Meet needs in a timely, consistent way. If somebody tells you I need diapers and you wait till next week, that child isn't getting diapers. Model and encourage learning. We don't know everything. And this is wonderful that you're here with us in this workshop because we don't know everything and we're all learning together and we continually learn. Be who teens and children need. They don't need angry people. Keep the vision on the present and the future while respecting the past that made us all who we are. See who's before us and where they can go. Ask them where they want to go. Don't make that decision for them, but know where they came from and respect that too. With support of and for community. Supporting pregnant and parenting teens in your work. Let them eat. They're hungry. Teenagers are always hungry, pregnant or not. They're always hungry. Anybody believe that? Know that to be true? They're always hungry. Humor, but not sarcasm. Make them laugh. Let them make you laugh. I give extra credit if they make me laugh. And thank you for that. Everyone loves snacks, especially teens. True story. Compliments, smiling, be supportive, and don't take it personal. Don't ever take it personal. People get mean when they're stressed. All people get mean when they're stressed. Some get quiet. Hardly ever do people get happy when they're stressed, okay? So don't take it personal. My favorite thing to say about this work is, and when I'm training new teachers in childcare centers, if they give you ugly and they don't talk to you, but they keep coming every single day and handing you their baby, they can't hate you that much. So don't take it personal. If you start taking it personal, you're not going to last very long. And if you're the wonderful people I believe that you are, they need you. So don't burn out. Let's do things to stop you from burning out. Teens are snarky, almost all of them. True story, but we don't need to be that back. Practicable support for pregnant and parenting teens. Allow them access to their phones. They are always waiting for something for their child. It may look like, again, we don't judge. We don't judge. Please don't judge. But usually my experience is they're waiting for something. Do not discuss their parenting status with anyone else without their permission, including their parent or guardian. Explore reasons for behavior before giving a comment. Can support a growing body. If you have an office, do your chairs have arms that are like this or like this? We want to make sure that everybody fits and feels comfortable. Next slide, please. Communicating with them. Direct all communication as to how it will ultimately affect the teen parent in a short-term time span. They may not see tomorrow. It's not a priority and sometimes not an option. Teenage parents can live in dangerous situations, dangerous places, and they don't possibly see what tomorrow is. They see today. So helping them today will help them tomorrow. And from the field, I teach them how to guide their child. And here's a slide from some of my guidance. How will you teach your child the difference between right and wrong? Got to know where they came from and how they plan to do it so that you can help them with knowing all of their options. Okay, so this is just a poem, and these are some of my influences in my work. You can feel free to read the poem on your own. In the chat, Brooke is going to put a link to a news story about a child care center for teenage parents that my friend Candace Coleman runs in Illinois. It's amazing and fantastic, and she gives good guidance and advice. This work is amazing, and it's been my life's work. My entire adult life has been spent trying to support teenage parents and babies. I myself am the daughter of a teenage father and the daughter of a single mother. So when my teenagers ask why I do this, I tell them because I know who the children of single moms can grow up to be, people with master's degrees and houses and jobs. I tell them that everybody deserves all of the chances, and that's what we're here to do, to give each other chances. One of my favorite things when I was brand new to this work, after my very first class, they asked me where I was going after work. And I said, "Why are you asking me this?" And they said, "We need to take you to the store. You are dressing way older than you look." Some people would take that as an insult. That is not an insult. If a teenager says something like that, here's my advice for you. Take it as a compliment because they want you to look better. They care about you. And that's one of the things I want you to get out of this. They care so much, but because they have differing ways of showing that, you have to take it in every way you can. Trust them, believe them, build relationships with them, reach out to your colleagues, to the world at large for advice, for support. Know what's in your community so that you can be that conduit. And I am open for any questions. And if you would like to discuss teenagers in other ways, I am here to do that with you. As you are getting your questions ready, I want to hold up some books that are amazing. When Children Want Children, it's by a man named Leon Dash, and he talks about teenage dads and moms. He is an amazing person, amazing writer. The Youngest Parents by Robert Coles. Babies, Books, and School-Age Parents. You Look Too Young to Be a Mom. This is a story of a book of essays. Before Their Time. And there are a multitude of articles online, and I will put together I'll put this together so Brooke can share this with you later on. So let's see here. What's in the chat? Can't see the chat. Is there any questions in the chat?
Not yet. Chase just linked the news article, and then I just let everyone know I'll follow up with the list of books per usual.
Okay.
But yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to come off mute or put those in the chat.
It's valuable and hard work working with teenage parents. Teenage dads are amazing as well. I work with teenage dads, but again, there aren't as many of them as there are teenage moms. Groups for them, if you want to have a group for a teenage dad, don't call it a support group, call it a club. Take them out, do something, always have food. But that's true of any group of people you have together. Food is love, always have food. Make sure you know who the person in the family is who has all the power, because that's the person who is the guide for you with the teenager. Don't share with that person unless you have permission from the teenager, but you want to include everyone. And I could just talk about this for days, so I'm going to stop talking right now and just thank you so much for being here today. You took time out of your day, and I'm grateful. And I am available if you want to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk about anything you want to talk about teenage parents. I have all kinds of ideas, and I want to hear from you and learn from you as well. So thank you so much for being here. It really means the world that you want to work with this population.